Good morning. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Good morning. Good morning, Stephanie. Hi, Javier. Welcome, Rodrigo. Hi, Ureli. I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. Good morning, Paula. Welcome. All right. Today, we are going to have the opportunity to begin our unit on The Great Gatsby. So we have been learning about the social, biographical, and historical context of the novel, and today is our chance to really dive into the text. So let's go ahead and do our do now. Open your learning journal, observe the cover of The Great Gatsby, taking note of the concrete details that stand out the most. On the left-hand side of your paper, you're going to list these concrete details. On the right-hand side of the paper, you're going to describe the effect of these details. So I've given you an example. So one of the concrete details that I noticed was the font in the novel title. It emphasizes the word "the," and it seems old-fashioned to me. So go ahead and take your time now to write in your learning journal. I'll be circulating around the room and I'll place green sticky notes on the desks of students I would like to share. Please remember you do have one pass per week, and so if you're not feeling ready to share today, you can use that pass and I'll call on another student. All right, so your 2 minutes begins now. All right, and so Rodrigo, can you please tell me one of the concrete details that you noticed today? Excellent. So you're pointing out this detail here, which looks like a tear. And can you tell me the effect of that detail? Okay, so it gives the cover a kind of sadness, a melancholy. Thank you. All right, and Stephanie, how about for you? What detail did you notice? Oh gosh, yes, you do have to look pretty closely, but inside the pupils, it does seem like there's another design there. Okay, and what was the effect of that detail for you? Okay, so we might be having to look below the surface in order to find the meaning. Absolutely. Okay, thank you so much for sharing. So, the reason that we're starting with the cover today is that just like the artist is using these concrete details to appeal to a specific audience, Fitzgerald is also using very specific rhetorical devices to appeal to a specific audience. And so today we have two objectives. We have our overall unit question, which we're trying to address through every lesson, and then we have a specific lesson objective for today. And so Javier, can you please read our unit essential question for us? Okay, thank you. And Paula, the lesson objective, please. Okay, thank you. And so remember, we have done audience character sketches before, and so we're using those same skills that we have used on previous texts, and now we're going to apply those to Fitzgerald. So I'd like to show you the agenda for today, so you'll notice that we will have a guided practice in class. We will then have a homework assignment where we're practicing what we learned today, and then we will have a share out tomorrow. And so please take 2 minutes to read this agenda for yourself. Okay, great. And so I'm going to come back to the homework and to the synthesis and reflection. I'll go over those again. For now, let's focus on the guided practice. And so we are going to read a sample passage together. We're going to use the passage analysis questions to analyze that passage together. And then we're going to use the answers to those questions to create an audience character sketch. What we're really trying to get to is, what does the audience believe? What does the audience value? All right. And so at this point, we're going to switch over to the handout. So you have that available already. And I'll go ahead and switch to that as well. And so what we're going to do is start with the sample passage. So we're going to read this together. We're going to go through the first question together. You'll have some independent work time for the remaining questions, so numbers 2 through 6. We will come back together to discuss those. And then finally, we will arrive at that audience character sketch. All right. And so Javier, can you please read this sample passage for us? Okay, great. Thank you so much. And so let's take a look at number 1. What is the main idea of the passage? In other words, I'm asking you to summarize that passage in your own words. So we're going to take 2 minutes to make some notes on our own. And again, I will circulate and put green sticky notes on the desks of students I would like to share. So take your 2 minutes, starting now. Okay, and so Ureli, can you tell me, how would you summarize this passage in your own words? In other words, what is the main idea? Okay, so in your view, the narrator is looking back on his upbringing, thinking about the advice that his father gave him. Okay, and so then what does that lead you to expect going forward out of this novel? Okay, so maybe it's written from retrospect, from memory. Okay. Okay, thank you. And if some of you had something slightly different for the main idea, that's completely okay. What we're trying to do at this point is really deconstruct the rhetorical strategies of this passage to ultimately arrive at what we think the audience values and believes. So let's take a look at number 2, and then we're going to have some independent time to work on number 2 as well as the remaining questions. So does the language appeal to a specific group of people? What I would recommend you do here is take a look at the passage more closely. Underline words and phrases, images that you think would appeal to a specific audience. And think about what that specific audience would be. What are their characteristics? What's their age? What is important to this audience? All right, and remember, we do have our literary vocabulary sheet, and so you can be referencing that as well. And so let's take our 2 minutes and take notes on number 2. Does the language appeal to a specific group of people? All right. At this point, I am going to break the fourth wall and let you all know what I would do next in this lesson. So we would work through the remaining questions, so 2 through 6. We would work on those in class. And then I would give students some time to come up with their audience character sketch. So what are the characteristics of this audience? Just using notes and bullet points, because then in their independent practice, they'll create a more complete audience character sketch. Once they had completed that, I would go back to our slides here and we would go over the independent practice. So we would go over the homework assignment. And then we would also have an exit ticket. So what questions do you have about the independent practice? Now, depending on whether this class was delivered virtually or in person, it could be a simple question where students respond. It could also be a Google form. And even in class, Google Forms can be very effective because I can see those responses in real time and be able to answer them before they go on to the independent practice. So thank you very much for watching my demonstration lesson on The Great Gatsby. I really look forward to discussing with you further.